Middelburg, in the Dutch province of Zeeland, the Four Freedoms Awards 2024 were presented. It was President Franklin D. Roosevelt who mentioned the essential four freedoms in his historic speech to the United States Congress in 1941.
The first is freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. The second is freedom of every person to worship God in his own way everywhere in the world. The third is freedom from want, which translated into world terms means economic understanding which will secure to every nation a healthy, peacetime life for its inhabitants everywhere in the world. The fourth is freedom from fear.
The tradition of the Four Freedoms Awards started in 1950 by the Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt Institute in New York. But nowadays, the awards are also presented in Zeeland on every other year. This is done in cooperation with the Roosevelt Foundation, which is based in Middelburg. Among the regular attendants at the awarding ceremony are the most prominent members of the Dutch royal family and descendants of President Roosevelt.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, esteemed laureates, members of the Roosevelt family, three generations of Roosevelts today, Anne, Margaret, Eleanor and James, dear friends. We live in turbulent times with so many challenges that have a great impact. The wars and enormous human suffering in Ukraine, in Israel and Gaza, in Sudan, in conflicts in so many other places. The climate extremes in many parts of the world, floods, droughts and forest fires, poverty and hunger, and millions of refugees desperately in search of safety. Increasing polarization shakes our societies. People are pitted against each other and truth is increasingly under pressure. How do we respond to this, which leaves so many people feeling powerless and uncertain? The Four Freedoms can help us find the answers to today's challenges.
Time to announce the first winner of the Freedom Award, the freedom of speech and expression, no matter where you are in the world.
I think if we don't take action against the real disinformation disorder that we're suffering from as a society, we just will have a situation where you can choose your own reality. You can just pick whatever you want to believe, have that reinforced, and then just live in that reality. And that's a real threat to democracy, and I think it's really important we take a stand against that and look at how we can stop that from happening.
First of all, thank you for this award. It means a great deal to myself, the team at Bellingcat, and our work. When I launched Bellingcat 10 years ago, my hope was to spread the use of open source investigation and create a space for people to share their work. In the last 10 years, we've achieved that, and we've achieved so much more. One of the most important things to me is that we've created a community around open source investigation, which is a driver for our investigations as much as an audience for them. In that community, I see how we can become resilient against disinformation, the fracturing of opinion, and even reality that I've come to observe increasingly in society. The rapid technological changes of the last 15 years that began with the introduction of the iPhone and the rise of social media, which was so much part of Bellingcat's success, has also fueled the growth of other communities, built around reinforcing opinions and feeding the worst nature of discourse, fueling fear and distrust, while offering a false sense of empowerment through the mutual anger towards those they believe have betrayed them. But we must examine why these communities exist. It is not because they have been lied to by Russia, but more often they believe they are truth seekers in a world where they felt betrayed by those who they have trusted.
The second Freedom Award. The freedom to worship your God in your own way, wherever you are in the world.
Creating harmony between different religious groups can be achieved by dialogue, but a meaningful dialogue, understanding that we share the same values, universal values of human rights, democracy, and rule of law. And understanding that at the end of the day, we're all human beings and that we strive for a better world. I think that freedom of religion and belief is enshrined in my identity, in the identity of my people, the Uyghur people. Being Muslim, identifying as Muslim is a core part of our identity, and this is exactly what the Chinese government is seeing as a threat and is using against us by imprisoning Uyghurs for their religious and ethnic identity.
Religious identity is not a crime. Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, Prime Minister, Roosevelt Foundation, members of the Roosevelt family, ladies and gentlemen. I am deeply humbled to receive this year's Freedom of Worship Award, an award that I accept on behalf of my community. I stand before you to underscore the vital importance of defending religious freedom, a cornerstone of any free and democratic society. Imagine being born Uyghur and knowing that you are condemned for life, no matter what you do or what you don't do. Your ethno-religious identity has been criminalized by the state. The existing laws, practices, and social conducts are all designed to make you guilty of something that you're not. Being born Uyghur should not be a crime, but in today's world, Uyghurs are being locked en masse in extrajudicial camps, subjected to the worst atrocities one can imagine, including rape and torture, forced labor, and more. The persecution of Uyghurs is not merely a domestic issue confined to the borders of China. It is a matter of global concern that demands our collective action and solidarity. As members of the international community, we cannot remain silent in the face of such egregious human rights abuses.
The third Freedom Award. The freedom from want, everywhere in the world.
Essa negação ao território. Acho que essa é a maior injustiça que o Estado brasileiro ainda mantém, né, contra os povos indígenas. A luta pela terra, a luta em defesa dos direitos dos povos indígenas, a luta por respeito, justiça, né? É o que eu faço todos os dias. Mas acho que para adquirir qualquer um desses, para nós, povos indígenas, né, em primeiro lugar, é a luta pela terra.
Eu estou muito orgulhosa por estar presente e receber esta homenagem tão importante. No Brasil, apenas o presidente Lula havia sido laureado. É momento de orgulho, porque sei de tantas dificuldades que passei, tantas dores tive com as derrotas e perdas de amigos queridos por estar nesta jornada. É motivo de mais orgulho ainda receber este prêmio enquanto primeira-ministra dos povos indígenas no Brasil.
Wanaiza Yumuyere Bejo. Gold, gold, everywhere I go I see gold. Gold, gold, everywhere I go I see gold. I was a child of ignorance, but I know what I know now. I've opened my eyes to what I've seen before, to what I knew before, 'cause it was written in the black clay soil with the blood of our sisters and brothers and mothers and fathers, unholy sacrifices for coffee, sugar, and gold, gold, everywhere I go I see gold.
The Fourth Freedom Award. The freedom from fear anywhere in the world.
Freedom from fear essentially is a life free from persecution and exploitation. These are basic things that are the foundation on which someone can build a free and full life. The world we're living in today is not free from war. It's not free from even civilians being protected from fear in conflict zones. Modern slavery is an umbrella term that describes a number of highly exploitative practices, including forced labour, forced marriage, human trafficking, debt bondage, and state-imposed forced labour. My dream is to see prime ministers and presidents throughout the world take this issue up as the issue of their time. And we need leaders to step up and take accountability for the actions of people in positions of power who are harming people and planet at a rate that we not only need to slow down, but need to stop.
As an artist, I'm deeply inspired by people who dedicate their lives to the liberation of others. The song I sang, Gold, is about the colonial history of the Netherlands and the dark slavery practices that accompanied it. As a descendant of enslaved Africans who were stolen from their homes, sold, and forced to work on the plantations in the New World, it is incredibly painful and disturbing to realize that slavery is unfortunately not a thing of the past, but a cruel reality for too many human beings living on this planet at this very moment. For there is, as I hope we all believe, no true freedom until we are all free. Dear guests, put your hands together for
Freedom from fear, in its simplest form, is the freedom to choose. Today, there are 50 million people living in modern slavery, all of whom do not have that most basic freedom. Eradicating modern slavery is central to a broader fight for justice, whether it be the climate crisis, protracted conflict, or the oppression of ethnic minorities, all of which are reflected through the work of my fellow laureates, whom I deeply respect and stand with in solidarity. Together, we truly could be the last generation living with slavery, because eradicating modern slavery is something within our reach. Starting with just 20 of the world's most powerful nations, we could change our global supply chains to shift from opaque and exploitative to transparent and accountable for the basic human rights of all people. International law either applies to all of us or none of us.
Time for the International Four Freedoms Award.
The biggest injustice is that our children lived at home, on their land, and had a normal childhood, and then Russians came. Instead of killing Ukrainian children on the spot, they abducted and become Russians. We are the only aid organization that regularly organizes rescue missions to return abducted children to Ukraine and those children who are suffering under Russian authority in occupied territories. We achieve our goals by uniting dozens of organizations and hundreds of volunteers.
The International Four Freedoms Award will be handed over by the Dutch Prime Minister.
The reason I'm here today is to shine a light on one of the places it is needed most, Ukraine. Since Russia's brutal invasion over 2 years ago now, thousands of Ukrainian children have been abducted and taken to Russia or to areas occupied by Russia. Thousands of children ripped away not only from their parents, but from everything that made them who they are. Their language, their country, their identity. With their abduction, their identities have been erased or made invisible. The victims themselves are still alive, in most cases, at least physically. Thanks to Save Ukraine, 282 children have been safely returned to their homeland. And together with their parents, they can find some rest in one of the organization's 7 hope and healing centers. There they can heal from their psychological wounds, or at least they can start to heal. Mykola and James, the importance of defending human rights is a strong thread running through your lives and your families. So let me now ask you both to come to the stage so that James can present Mykola with the International Four Freedoms Award for Save Ukraine.
James, the youngest member of the Roosevelt family to attend the ceremony, has the honor to present the award to the winner.
I'm joined today by 2 of the brave young people that Save Ukraine helped rescue following their abduction by Russia, Ksenia and Rostislav. I'd like to dedicate this award to the strength and courage of all Ukrainian youth, including the thousands of children who still need to be rescued and rehabilitated after their traumatic experience in Russia. The International for Freedom Award highlights the importance of freedom as essential to upholding democracy. This award underscores that Ukrainian sovereignty is key to the preservation of democracy in all of Europe. And to protect Ukrainian democracy, we must protect our children. The magnitude of the problem is enormous. If there is one thing you should remember from today, it should be this: the Russian Federation is committing a genocide of the Ukrainian nation, and it is seeking to do this in 2 ways: by forcibly transferring our children to Russia and annihilating their Ukrainian identity, both in Russia and occupied territories.
Let us remember the beauty of this setting and this company that honors their passionate approach to healing a hurting world. Let us remember the relationships represented here that give us a structure for strength and change. Let us remember the power of love and beauty and joy and passion on behalf of equity, fairness, justice, and peace. I am grateful for this experience today, because tonight there will be some terrible thing happening somewhere in the world, threatening to create a fear of living within me. But I will remember their joy, their beauty, their courage, their determination, and their passion. And that will be my vision of the future, not the terror-soaked vision playing out on our screens and pages. I hope that you also will go forth with a similar message, because we together, whether in small ways or large ways, have the power to create the world we want for our children and grandchildren. Thank you.